Let me ask you something simple, and I'll ask it softly, the way a friend would. Has your quiet ever made someone you care about feel alone right next to you? You didn't mean to, of course. You were just holding your ground, staying calm, refusing to add more noise to an already noisy world. Maybe you were practicing what you believe is Stoicism, measured speech, steady breath, a mind that doesn't leap and flail at every gust of emotion. And yet afterward, a partner seemed chilled, a friend went distant, a colleague labeled you aloof. You told yourself, I stayed composed. Isn't that the point? But deep down, you could feel it. Something didn't land right. This is a conversation about that subtle gap between the quiet you build to keep your inner life clear and the silence others hear and fill with painful guesses. It's about how a well-intended Stoic habit can, without guidance, turn into a wall that loved ones cannot climb. And it's about how to keep the best of Stoicism, the self-rule, the steadiness, the sanity while making that quiet warm rather than cold, welcoming rather than remote, connective rather than isolating. If you've ever told yourself I should say nothing, when what the moment actually needed was I should say something steady, this talk is for you. If you've found strength in restraint, but noticed your relationships feel brittle, this talk is for you. If you've been praised for being unflappable, but rarely called when friends are in need, this talk is for you. Together, we'll walk through where the practice can go sideways, how to set it right, and how to speak from a place of calm without making others fear that you've gone away. You don't have to choose between inner peace and human closeness. The art is to hold both. Let's begin. Part 1. When silence wears a mask. Picture this. You and someone you love are in the kitchen. A disagreement opens like a narrow crack in the tile. They ask a question that carries heat. Why didn't you tell me you were worried about money? You feel your pulse, you notice your breath, and you choose to be quiet. Better to avoid reacting, you think. Better to not escalate. You take the high road only your partner can't see the road you're on. All they see is your face, still as stone. All they hear is the faucet and the clink of a spoon. Your intention is noble, to keep the mind from being pushed around by the moment, but the impact is painful. Your quiet reads as distance, or judgment, or apathy. Here's the mistake in miniature. We confuse calm with concealment. We assume that to be master of our inner weather we must make our sky appear cloudless to others. Stoicism does prize restraint. Yes, yet restraint is not the same as rendering ourselves unreadable. In relationships, unreadability is rarely a virtue. People need signals. They need to know if we're with them. They don't need our drama, but they do need our presence. Silence without presence is a kind of disappearance, and disappearance breeds stories. He doesn't care. She's disgusted. They're planning to leave. The mind fills empty rooms with shadows. A small adjustment changes everything. Bring your calm out into the air. Don't just be composed, let them feel that you are with them while you are composed. You can say 3 sentences that cost you nothing, but give back $1,000 of closeness. I hear this matters to you. I'm staying quiet so I don't say something careless. Give me a moment, and I will answer. Watch how the room softens. You have not abandoned the Stoic virtue of measured speech. You have translated it. You have tethered your silence to care. Part 2. Regulation isn't suppression. A core strength of Stoic practice is emotional regulation. That's a phrase we sometimes mistake for emotional suppression. The difference is the difference between gardening and covering the soil with concrete. Regulation means we notice what's growing: anger, fear, shame, grief. We tend it, prune it, water it appropriately, and keep it from overrunning the yard. Suppression means we roll a slab of silence over the flower bed and pretend the roots are gone. But roots don't listen to silence. They listen to attention. In relationships, suppression feels safe in the short run and costly in the long run. You swallow the hard feeling to preserve harmony. You swallow again tomorrow and the day after. The cost doesn't show up on the first day's receipt. It shows up when your face loses its colors and your voice loses its layers. When your loved ones say they can't tell what you want. When resentment accumulates, like a debt you never thought you'd need to pay. Stoicism invites us to look at an impression and say, you are only an impression, not you are nothing and must be buried. There's a world of difference. Let's try a different posture. You feel the rise of anger. Your Stoic training teaches you to question the judgment underneath. What is being threatened? My comfort, My ego? A principle? Good. Now go one step further. Say, out loud, something like this. I'm feeling a wave of frustration right now. I want to answer carefully because you matter to me. You have named the weather without throwing it. You have not suppressed. You have regulated and revealed just enough to keep connection alive. It sounds simple, but it's a profound shift. You are not dumping your storm onto another boat. You're saying, yes, there is wind, and I am at the helm. People relax when they see a captain at the wheel. Ask yourself, when was the last time I shared a feeling early, gently, and without drama? When was the last time I shared my process? I need a moment to think. I'm trying to understand my own reaction. I don't want to be unfair. Instead of waiting until the pressure forced a confession, the earlier you share, the less you need to spill. The gentler you share, the more your quiet reads as care, not withdrawal. Part 3. The dichotomy of control is not a hall pass to disengage. You and I know the anchor thought. Control what you can, accept what you cannot. Know the difference. It keeps us sane, but untended. The dichotomy of control can become a blanket we throw over any problem that frightens us. We tell ourselves, I can't control what they feel, and that's true. Yet we can influence what they feel by what we communicate, how we listen, whether we repair quickly. Influence is not control, but it is a form of responsibility. In relationships, refusing to acknowledge our influence is a quiet betrayal. It's like declining to steer because we don't control the wind. Imagine your partner says, when you shut down, I feel invisible. You could reply, I can't control your feelings. That response is technically correct and spiritually useless. It misses the human bridge. A better Stoic reply is both grounded and engaged. You're right, I can't control what you feel, but I can contribute to your sense of safety by staying in the conversation. I can say more than I think I need to. I can also check whether my face and tone match my care. Notice how that preserves the dichotomy while protecting the bond. You honor what you can't control without ignoring what you can shape. Here is a simple ritual to rebalance this principle. When you feel tempted to withdraw under the banner of acceptance, add a second banner, participation. Ask, what is the smallest helpful action within my control that would make this moment easier for us? Sometimes it's the offer of time. Can we take 10 minutes and then come back? Sometimes it's a check-in. I'm quiet because I'm thinking, not because I'm done. Sometimes it's a summary. What I hear is that you felt blindsided. Each of these is influence without control. Each is an act of love. Part 4. Negative visualization needs a counterweight. Stoics sometimes rehearse loss to train gratitude and resilience. We imagine the fragility of health, the finitude of life, the impermanence of comfort. Done wisely, this practice sweetens the present. It sharpens appreciation. But done privately and too often, it can make you show up guarded. If your mind is always rehearsing goodbye, your body learns to step 1 inch back. Just in case, you become the person who loves without leaning, who hugs with a shoulder, who is present but not porous. The people who adore you feel the thin film over your skin. They might not name it, but they feel it. The antidote is not to abandon negative visualization. It is to couple it with deliberate warmth. For every quiet rehearsal of loss, apply an equal rehearsal of savoring. Before you walk into the home you share, pause at the door and picture the faces inside as treasure that will not be there forever and then. Crucially, let that vision send you forward, not inward. Let it move your body to show affection, to speak gratitude out loud, to make eye contact long enough for them to see the softness in you. The practice is not meant to dim your light, but to aim it. Here's a line you can use that sounds like you yet gives people a window into your heart. Sometimes I remind myself we don't get infinite time, and it makes me extra grateful for this moment with you. That sentence does 2 things. It reveals the machinery of your mind, and it transforms quiet awe into shared warmth. The people you love no longer have to guess what your silence holds. They can feel it because you've put it into words. Not a torrent, not a speech. A line offered simply, like passing a cup of water. Part 5. Independence that isn't isolation. Stoic training can make you beautifully self-sufficient. You learn to sit with discomfort, to generate your own approval, to stand steady in failure. Many people build their entire identity on this internal footing. But inside a relationship, Independence can shade into isolation if we confuse "I can carry my load" with "I must carry my load alone." Even iron bridges use cables. Human beings are not weaker because they ask for help. They are wiser because they distribute strain before something snaps. Let's test your habits. When something wonderful happens, how quickly do you share it? Do you let your partner or friend be part of the joy right away? Or do you process it solo and casually mention it later, like a headline from last week's paper? When something difficult happens, how long do you wait to ask for comfort? Do you come to them with your need while it's still warm? Or do you cool it in silence and then present a tidy summary after the storm has passed? The Stoic impulse to not burden others is noble, but withholding the chance to care can be a different kind of burden. It steals from people the meaning of being needed. Try this experiment for a week. When something meaningful occurs, good or hard, send a small, honest signal within the hour. If you're in the same room, it might be a hand on the shoulder and "I could use a few minutes with you later, tough news today." If you're apart, it might be a message that says, "Big win, want to celebrate with you tonight," or "Feeling wobbly after that call." If you have time later, a hug would help. You are not abandoning Stoic steadiness. You are widening it to include companionship. You're allowing shared strength to be strength. Part 6. Speaking with virtue. From opaque to clear. The Stoic virtues: wisdom, justice, courage. Temperance can become a language for everyday talk. Wisdom becomes clarity. Justice becomes fairness in how we describe. Courage becomes vulnerability. Temperance becomes restraint that is felt as care. When your words embody these, your quiet stops hurting, because even your few words carry warmth and precision. Clarity sounds like this: here is what I believe, here is what I don't know, and here is where I'm willing to be persuaded. It doesn't posture, it communicates the shape of your mind. Fairness sounds like this: I'll own my part first. I shut down during that conversation, and I see how that made you feel alone. Vulnerability sounds like this: I avoid saying how much I care, because it scares me to need anyone. I'm practicing saying it anyway. Restraint sounds like this: I'm angry, but I want to treat you better than my anger wants to. I'm going to speak slowly. Let's apply a framework you can hold in your pocket. Call it the 3 lights. Red light is pause. Yellow light is name. Green light is connect. Red light, you feel the surge, pause, breathe, choose not to fire. Yellow light, name one inner fact and one outer fact. I'm feeling tense, and I heard you say you feel ignored. Green light, connect with one action. I'm going to sit beside you and listen for 2 minutes without interrupting. This is operational Stoicism. It brings regulation to speech. It makes your inner discipline visible enough that others can trust it. Do you worry that saying your inner process will sound awkward? It will, at first, but awkwardness is only the sound of a new muscle being used. The alternative is familiar, a relationship where you are admired for your calm and kept at a distance for the same reason. Would you rather be impressive or known? Known is warmer. Known is shared oxygen. Known is a Stoic good because it aligns with reality. Reality is connection. Part 7. Repair quickly. Ritualize warmth. Even with care, we misstep. You'll be quiet when you should have spoken. You'll speak when you should have kept your counsel. The mark of a mature Stoic is not perfection, but repair. The sooner you repair, the less scar tissue the relationship collects. Make repair a practice, a calm return to the scene with a clearer heart. Repair has 3 parts. First, own it cleanly. I went silent last night. That left you to carry the conversation alone. Second, explain your intention without using it as a shield. I was trying not to escalate, but I see how my silence felt like shutting you out. Third, offer a forward action. Next time, I'll say, I'm thinking, and keep eye contact. Would you be willing to nudge me if I start to disappear? This is not groveling. This is leadership. You're aligning behavior with value, and you're enlisting your partner as a teammate rather than a judge. Rituals make change sturdy. Build small, repeatable ways to show your quiet is friendly. Choose a check-in phrase you use every time you need silence, so it becomes familiar and safe. Give me a minute to find the fairest words. Choose a micro-ritual of touch or presence to pair with difficult talks. You sit on the same side of the table, or you hold a hand for the first 30 seconds. Or you light the same small candle so the brain recognizes. Even hard things live in a circle of care. Choose a daily savor ritual, especially if negative visualization is part of your practice. At the end of the day, share one thing you almost took for granted and name it together. The way you laughed at dinner, the quiet walk, you remembering to text me. Warmth should not be a seasonal visitor. Make it part of the house. Part 8. Reading bids and answering life. Let's talk about the ordinary magic that builds or breaks a relationship. Bids for connection. They're small. A joke lobbed lightly. A look at this from across the room. A sigh that wants a question. Stoic quiet is excellent at ignoring bids because bids live in the realm of the trivial. And we've trained ourselves to ignore what is trivial. But the trivial is where love sends its scouts. The armies arrive rarely. The scouts come daily. Train your attention to treat bids as a practice ground for virtue. Justice, answer fairly if you are busy. Say so kindly and return later. Temperance, set down the phone even when the headline tempts you, because the person in front of you is a higher good. Courage, risk being silly because play is not beneath dignity. It is a form of intimacy. Wisdom, distinguish between the noise you can rightly ignore and the simple human bid that, if answered, tells your people you are with them. You don't need to say much. You need to notice and turn toward. A nod, a half smile, a brief question, tell me more, can feed a bond more than a grand speech. Ask yourself at day's end, with the same honesty you bring to your meditations, how many bids did I notice? How many did I answer? Which ones were swallowed by my concentration or my pride? Don't shame yourself. Sharpen yourself. The next day is wide open. Practice here and your quiet will stop being a moat and become a shoreline where others can land. Part 9. Face, tone, posture. The body speaks. You can mean everything you say and have your face undo it. Stoic practice often relaxes the features, softens the voice, reduces gesture. That can be soothing and blank. In heated moments, a neutral face reads as cold, not calm. This is not about pretending. It's about allowing your body to be congruent with your heart. If you care, let your eyes show it. If you're listening, angle your torso toward the person. If you need time, put your hand on your chest or theirs and say, I'm here. Try this experiment in a mirror or with someone you trust. Say, I'm listening, with your usual face. Then say it again with your eyebrows slightly lifted and your head tilted a few degrees toward them. Feel the difference in your own body. Now imagine getting that second version when you were vulnerable. Your nervous system recognizes safety not just through words, but through posture, rhythm, and gaze. This is beneath philosophy and above it. It is biology. Mature Stoicism uses the body to communicate virtue. Calm does not need to be stone. Calm can look like a warm lake. Part 10. Boundaries with warmth, not walls. You will need to say no. You will need to disagree. You will need to let someone be upset without fixing it for them. Stoicism can make us very good at hard lines, and hard lines can be healthy. But a boundary delivered like a verdict breeds loneliness. A boundary delivered like a promise preserves connection. The difference is tone and tenderness. The verdict version says, that's your problem. I won't discuss it. The promise version says, I can't keep arguing this way. I'll talk when we can both be kind. I want to solve this with you. The first version uses the dichotomy of control to retreat. The second uses it to invite a better way in the only corner you own, your conduct. Boundaries are not weapons. They are agreements you make with yourself and share with others. Spoken with warmth, they teach people how to love you well without making them feel like they've been put outside. Notice how often you set boundaries only after resentment peaks. Bring them earlier. I can't text during work hours, but I'll call you at lunch. I want to help, but I need 30 minutes to transition. I love when you share your day. Could we do it without the put-downs? This clarity is not unstoic. It is justice for both of you. You protect your core without closing the door. Part 11. The courage to be seen. There's a quiet fear that lives inside many Stoic hearts. If I let myself be seen, won't I lose the very calm I worked so hard to build? Won't need make me weak? Won't love make me vulnerable to loss? The answers are yes, yes, and yes, and that is precisely where the practice meets its final test. Courage is not needed where nothing can be lost. Courage is needed where your love is mortal, where your heart is open, where silence might feel safer but honesty is truer. Being seen doesn't require dumping your insides onto the table. It asks that you let a measure of your inwardness become legible. Tell the story of how you learned to be quiet, not as an excuse, but as an offering. When I was young, chaos made me vow to be the calm one. I'm learning how to be calm and connected. If I drift towards silence, it's not because I don't care. It's because I practiced silence like a shield. I want you to know I'm practicing something better now. What happens then? You become a collaborator in your own growth. You invite others to play a kind role, not a prosecutorial one. You stop leaving them alone with their guesses. Courage is not noisier than fear. It's steadier. It says, I will let you know me at a pace I can sustain. It says, I will ask for what I need before I'm starving. It says, I will apologize while it's still easy to return. And it says, I will love you with my eyes open to loss, which makes the love brighter, not dimmer. Part 12. Putting it all together. Let's weave the threads into something you can carry. When you feel the pull towards silence, pause and ask two questions. First, what am I protecting? If the answer is your dignity, your ego, or the avoidance of discomfort, breathe and come forward 1 inch. If the answer is the conversation itself, then explain your silence and keep presence alive. Second, what would help us most right now? Clarity, fairness, courage, or restraint? Choose one virtue and give it voice with a single sentence. Clarity might sound like, here's my concern in one line. Fairness might be, here's my part. Courage might be, here's what scares me. Restraint might be, I'm going to lower my voice. Make micro promises you can keep. If I go quiet, I'll tell you why. If I need time, I'll name how much. If I say something sharp, I'll repair within an hour. Let people learn your patterns by showing them the map. And meanwhile, rehearse savoring as deliberately as you rehearse loss. Leave little notes of presence everywhere. The eye contact that lasts 1 heartbeat longer. The hand that stays, the tell me more that invites detail. These are not sentimental gestures. They are philosophical ones. They align your inner practice with the outer world it was meant to bless. If your quiet Stoic habit has hurt your relationships, it's not because you aimed at the wrong star. It's because you flew it without lanterns. You sought peace, and that's beautiful. You sought self-possession, and that's wise. But peace was never meant to be a private garden with high hedges and a hidden gate. Peace is stronger when it's shared. Self-possession is truer when people can feel it in the way you hold them, not just yourself. You do not need to abandon your calm to be close. You need to let your calm be felt. You do not need to trade discipline for disclosure. You need to disclose just enough for your discipline to be seen as love. You do not need to speak much. You need to speak with virtue, at the right moments, in words that carry warmth. You will get it wrong sometimes, repair. You will be tempted to hide sometimes, re-enter. You will want to prove your strength by carrying your pain alone. Ask instead for the strength to be accompanied. Listen. Truly listen. The people who love you are not asking you to become noisy. They are asking to know you. They are asking for an occasional window in the wall, a soft light that says, I am here with you, not just near you. Give them that. You will not lose your calm. You will give it a purpose. You will not lose your edges. You will give them gentler hands. Your quiet will remain, but it will stop being a mask. It will become a home, and the ones you love will stop guessing at your silence because they will hear it speak.